Good evening, everybody. Listen, I have a question for you that a priest may not ask ever from a pulpit. I have two versions of my homily. Do you want version A or version B? But I'll tell you what's the difference between version 1 and version 2. Version 1 is just 4 minutes longer. It's like a holiday Hollywood movie. Which ending do you want? Shall I give you the whole spiel? Oh, yeah, that's not very convincing. You really want the whole thing? 4 minutes more. I think it'll be worth it because it's a beautiful passage. Okay, here we go. Full version of the movie. Okay. Let me tell you how important the story of Jesus' encounter with the woman taken in adultery is, first of all. What if I told you that this passage does not originally belong to the Gospel of John? The style in which the story is written reads more like it should belong in the Synoptic Gospels. This is a story that, for example, you could find in the Gospel of Luke. Moreover, the place where it is inserted in the Gospel of John doesn't really flow very well. It seems artificial where it is inserted. It works, but it disrupts the flow of events in the Gospel of John. So why do we find this passage? Because the story was part of the oral tradition. But the editors of the Gospel of John found it necessary to preserve it in the written tradition as well because of the message that it held for the early church. It's a true and treasured witness to Jesus of Nazareth. So this part that I'm giving you is the extended version. I would have omitted this otherwise. To understand the passage, we have to distinguish between the situation and the plot. The situation is that a woman has been caught in the very act of adultery, and she has been placed in the middle of a crowd. Now, Jesus' opponents have already decided that the woman would be dealt according to the law of Moses. She will be stoned. This is already decided. But the plot is different. It is not the woman who is at the center of the plot. Jesus is at the center of the plot. The plot is to test Jesus. They were trying to create a situation where Jesus might be found in conflict with Moses and the law. This way, they could do to him what they were going to do to her. Now, Jesus knew the plot, but Jesus deals with the situation with unusual calm. You see, Jesus knows the law. For goodness sake, he is the law. He knows that the law was not given to test people and oppress them. He knows that. According to the law, the woman deserved to be stoned. But Jesus was willing to risk turning the law upside down, especially if the woman was being made a mere object to fulfill the law. It was a plot schemed by unconscionable men. Surprisingly, Jesus does not contest the law. He does not contest the law at all. Jesus merely asks them to let the person who has not sinned throw the first stone. They walked away. They had to walk away because every one of them was with sin. She was left alone with the only man who could have thrown a stone at her because only he was sinless. But he does not stone. He does not condemn. He does not judge. Rather, he sends her away forgiven, loved, and free. I'm coming back to my original homily. I have 3 practical implications. To draw the practical implications, I'm drawing on today's first reading from Isaiah. God says, remember not the events of the past, the things of long ago consider not. See, I am doing something new. In the story of the woman taken in adultery, Jesus was offering a new way of looking at religion, a new way of looking at God, a new way of looking at humanity. So here are my 3 points for today. First, Jesus' revelation of God was something new. Unlike the past, instead of people getting stoned to death, Jesus revealed, and my God, this is so important for me, and I hope it is as important for you as it is for me. Instead of being stoned to death, Jesus was revealing a God of tenderness, of compassion, a God not just of second and third chances, but a God who gave 70 times 7 chances. Let me take this even further. Jesus revealed a God who would rather die than for us to be stoned and perish. So he did not just stop us from being stoned, but he dies so that we can be set free. There was something totally new for the people who encountered the God of Jesus Christ. Folks, even today, it is not unusual to hear preachers present a God whose justice is without mercy, whose love is not free, and whose temple is only for the worthy. But the story of the woman taken in adultery shows us a God whose justice is mercy, whose love is free, and at whose table there is a place for everyone. Indeed, in Jesus, God has made all things new. Second, Jesus breathed new life and insight into religion. Folks, central to our faith are doctrines, laws, rituals, obligations. This entire Eucharist is that. And all these are important. As Jesus said to the woman at the end of the passage, go, and from now on sin no more. So there are doctrines to be adhered, laws to be followed, rituals to be celebrated. But Jesus teaches us that central to religion and society is also one other thing: the dignity of the human person. The laws, doctrines, rituals, and obligations are not unimportant, but as we see with the woman taken in adultery, Jesus would not allow her accusers to objectify her merely to fulfill the law. No, the human person cannot be objectified even if it is to fulfill the law. Religion is meant to give life, not destroy it. Religion is meant to set us free, not enslave us. Religion is meant to lead us to love, not to judgment. Religion is meant to lead us to forgiveness, not condemnation. Religion is meant to bring humanity to God, not drive them away. Jesus transformed how we imagine religion, our relationship with God, our relationship with others, even sinners and enemies. Jesus transformed this. Jesus was making all things new. And finally, one more thing that is new. a new understanding of sin and forgiveness. Folks, there are many things that are common to human beings. First of all, we all have a soul, we all have our intellect, and we all have free will. But there is yet another thing that is common to us, that we are all sinners. Put your hands up if you haven't sinned. Despite this, often we have the tendency to minimize our sins and to exaggerate other people's sins. There is always someone who is worse than us. Believe me, this is embarrassing, but sometimes I have said that to myself. I'm not like her, I'm not like him. Perhaps the reason we do this is because we need something to make us look better. And what makes us look better is people who might be worse than us. Jesus' opponents were all sinners. Not one of them could have thrown the first stone. Not one of them could have thrown the first stone. Despite this, they were bent on making a scene of her sin, but not their own. They had created their own concept of sin and forgiveness. But there is a twist in the story, isn't it? Each of the woman's accusers may have walked away without throwing a stone, but the only person who went away forgiven, loved, and free was that woman. The rest went away with their sin within them. The self-righteous have no need of God. The self-righteous have no need of God. It is the sinner who ends up being forgiven, loved, and free. Jesus has made all things new. Our Christian living is a new life lived in Jesus Christ. May our life bear witness to the God who says, "Behold, I make all things new." People of God said,